and once again welcome back to my channel, My Opinion, with me, Just Mashadi. And once again we will be doing another episode 2 of the Mummy Club. Now, before we get into this week's review, please note, as I would like to say, nothing stated in this video is actually factual. I am in no way saying that anything is factual. All I'm saying is that it is my opinion. Now, without wasting any further time, let's get into it. So this week's episode kicks off at Her Majesty's house with her lovely, gorgeous daughters, and they're sitting around having some tea. Mummy is having her quality time with her daughters, and you know, as they're chatting, the daughter's teasing her about her Instagram and how her DMs can be a little bit questionable at times, darling. And Happy goes and proceeds to explain why sometimes she does have access to her DMs. And as they're chatting, they get into the topic of one of her daughter's birthdays. And Shayman, it is so sad because her late husband passed away the day before one of her daughter's birthdays. And you know, Happy, you know, she's still reeling. I picked that up immediately, that Happy is still reeling. And she mentions that because her daughter's birthday falls on the day after the husband passed away, she feels like it's inappropriate to celebrate on that day. And you know, the daughter breaks down and cries, and Happy goes on to say she understands why the daughter's crying because it's very emotional and she's still very hurt about the loss of her father. Now, as I was sitting and looking at that, I looked at it from a completely different point of view. What I saw is that she's actually hurting because it is her birthday, and you know, even though such a tragic event happened in her life and she lost her dad, but the fact remains that it is her birthday, and it would be lovely, you know. I think, you know, I hope that when Happy actually gets to a place of making peace and mourning the loss of her husband, that she'll actually see that it actually is a little bit unfair on her daughter, you know, that her birthday must now be moved to a different day because of this tragic event on that day. But yeah, that's you know, that's my opinion. That's how I saw it from my side. That, you know, it's so sad. I can only imagine just the turmoil that that family went through, just by losing you know, Happy's husband and their dad. Shame. I really do feel for them. I really do. And now, moving on from that very sad opening scene, we go all the way to the East Rand, darling. Okay, we are now all the way in Shame Benoni next to Boksburg, or we're in Boksburg next to Benoni, either one, where we meet the new addition to the cast, who is Ratile. Now, Ratile, I have no idea who she is. It was my first time seeing her. She seems like a lovely lady. She is gorgeous. And, you know, she goes ahead to introduce herself. And what we all can pick up is that she is in the health and wellness space. She says that she has 5 kids. And Her Majesty is like, 5 kids? You know, because we know how it is. We know as mothers, we know as mommies that it is hard. Now imagine hard times 5. But she goes on and says 3 are her own biological kids and the other 2 are her bonus kids. I would like to call them bonus kids and not stepchildren, because they are your bonus kids that you met through your partner, through your marriage, through your love. Or maybe it's me. They were in Boksburg, or maybe her office space or her workspace is in Boksburg. I don't know. I don't know what I got twisted there, because later on she does say that she is based in Kyalami. So yeah, I'll just what I'll do is that I'll quickly go back to the scene, watch it, and then if I have to fix it here, I'll place a caption here just to say, because that left me a little bit confused. Now, as they are, you know, chatting with Happy, Happy invites her to the high tea that Miss Mops had invited the ladies to. Yes, honey, the Chanel themed high tea. But don't worry, we will get into that. And she, you know, Happy extends the invite to her and says she would love to introduce her to one of the to the ladies, to the group, and she gladly accepts the invite. And guess what? It's a date. We then proceed to Waterkloof, Pretoria, where the lovely Mrs. Mops resides with her beautiful and gorgeous, gorgeous family. Mrs. Mops has done an okay setup, in my opinion, an okay setup in her garden. Everything is Chanel themed. You know, she's got Chanel gift bags on the table. And then I immediately picked up that there's Chanel perfume bottles. She's also done is that she set up a blanket and cushions. They called it a picnic setup, but for me, really, it wasn't so much of a picnic setup. It was just cushions and a blanket in the other part of the mansion, darling, where the nannies will be sitting, getting to know each other better, and taking care of their little nunus while their mommies are enjoying their high tea. As I had mentioned earlier, Miss Mops had said that the theme of the high tea, darling, is going to be Chanel. And I'm thinking, guys, do you know how expensive Chanel is? Guys, Chanel is not Gucci, okay? Chanel is not LV. Chanel is expensive, right? So I'm just like, Miss Mops, Mrs. Mops, not everybody's money is long money, is Chanel money. But anyways, let's see. I'm excited to see what the ladies are going to do with the theme. Miss Mops looks like an elegant, classy lady who high teas, as she normally does, in her outfit. And I like the fact that, you know, everyone interpreted it, but the common color seems, you know, the colors were black and white, which is very Chanel-esque, which also inspired my look today to say, hey, let's, you know, let's channel some of that Mrs. Mops money energy, you know, let's just channel and manifest. So the first lady to arrive to the high tea, listen, I might get the order wrong, I might get the orders wrong, but the first person to arrive in my memory was the lovely Nunurai, and it was so lovely to see Nunurai. Nunurai came dressed very simple in a silk black dress, and she went on to say that, you know, darling, you know, Chanel is money, guys, and when you say people must wear Chanel, people will make a plan. Those that don't have Chanel will wear black. So she arrives. Miss Mops, Mrs. Shady Mops, Mrs. Shady Mops, we see you, Mrs. Mops, goes and gives my BFF, Nunurai, a 3 or a 2 out of 10, but I think it was a 3 out of 10. She's like, she tried, it's a 3 out of 10. And right after that, Miss Mancha, darling, arrives with her nanny. So as the ladies are arriving, the mummies, the yummy mummies, the mummy club, as they arrive, their nannies are also arriving, but they're then going to the picnic area side. And Miss Manche arrives looking gorgeous in her Chanel accessories, etc, etc. She looked okay. She looked okay in my opinion. Her makeup was lovely. I loved her hairstyle. You can see that, you know, she definitely was channeling Chanel. As soon as Mancha arrives, and as they're sitting at their table, Miss Mancha goes and says, you know, I hope, you know, Miss Mancha has got some beef brewing from Nunurai's baby's first birthday party. Apparently, well, not apparently, as we, apparently, it still is apparently, allegedly, but, we'll get to that later on. When, if you can remember when last week's episode ended, there was a bit of a dramatic scene where Miss Manches, so apparently this is what happened, Miss Manches' little one, cute little Noah, Noah's 5, he's a baby. As they were standing next to the cake, apparently he touched it or he licked it or whatever. As Miss Manches said, it's semantics at this point. But in any case, when she did that, Her Majesty Happy went and said, "Oh my gosh, Noah, that is so wild," or "You are so wild." And darling, Miss Mancha did not take nicely to that at all. But we will get back to that later on. So Miss Mancha arrives and she says, "I hope you ladies don't mind because I've got a bit of an issue that I need to settle with one of the ladies here. And so I hope you won't mind when I pull her off to the side when she does come later." Okay. Now, Nunurai goes and says, we can all then deduce who it is because we only 4. So, it is Happy. It has to be Happy. But as we move on, in walks Miss Omuhle. And I'm just like, what is Omuhle doing here? Again, she's here. What is she doing here? Because if she's gonna come with that same closed off, dry, gray energy that she comes with, she might as well, stay home. Because, why is she here? But anyways, she comes as well, looking pretty in her little, rose pink and white dress, and she's wearing sunglasses, and she hasn't met the ladies, so she goes and greets the ladies, greets Miss Manche, greets Miss Nunurai, and continues to grab a seat. And then Her Majesty arrives and looking stunning, like a lady that's about to lunch, a lady that's about to high tea. And as she comes in, she greets everyone, and then awkward, like, Her Majesty, what a faux pas, Her Majesty. She goes ahead and says to the host, the lovely Mrs. Mops, and says, "Oh, Mrs. Mops, by the way, I forgot to tell you that I'm bringing a guest." And I'm like, how? The girl, Mugele, Kante, when you were extending the invite, you hadn't run it past Mrs. Mops first? And for her to approve, and then once she approved, then you're like, hey girl, do you mind tagging along? No, Mugele just invited, and Miss Manche, in the confessional, she's like, now if I was Miss Mops, I would be annoyed because I hate it when people do that. I don't want anyone in my house, because you never know people's intentions and all of that. I completely get it. But then once again, we all know it's a show, it's an ensemble cast, and surely at some point everyone knew that Ratile will be joining the crew. Now Ratile comes in, and before Ratile comes in, shady Mrs. Mops is sitting at the table while Happy proceeds to go and get Ratile to come and meet the ladies. Miss Mops is like, oh, like, honestly. And Ratile comes in, and with a bunch of flowers. Now this was such a funny moment, and I'm just like, right, I feel like I'm right about her. I feel like she is that girl, sorry, as I was saying, then sorry, I lost my train of thought. Then Ratile comes in and she's holding a cute little bouquet of flowers, and in the confessional, Nunurai goes and shades her roses from Woolworths, she's like, darling, you don't, I mean, no one needs to be buying a bunch of roses from Woolies, you know, because, I mean, when you buy roses, darling, you're looking at like 100 stems, and I'm like, yes, girl, and plus it is her business, you know, it's her field, it's a business, so she knows exactly what she's talking about. She brought 2 amazing, beautiful roses in round boxes, and you know, they looked gorgeous. I wouldn't expect anything less from Nunurai. So yeah, Miss Mops, you know, obviously goes ahead as well in the confessional and shades just a little bit. Ratile's bunch of roses, and the ladies then settle in, and you know, they proceed with the high tea, and then zing 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 zing, Miss Manche drops the, you know, when I hear people what it's a vibe, you know, and Happy's like, me, what did I do? Shame. And I honestly feel like, you know, sometimes you say or you do things and you don't realize that you are upsetting someone, or someone feels insulted, or someone feels otherwise, or you know, or anything afterwards, after what you've said and all of that. So I honestly felt that it was a genuine, she was shocked, she didn't know what it was about. But as Miss Manche had stated, she pulls her aside, and the ladies are like, why is she pulling her aside? Why can't we address it here? Let's address it here. And I have to say, I really respect Tseho once again. I really respect Tseho for pulling her aside. It's such a lady-like thing to do. Pull her aside and say, girl, you know, when you said this and that, I antwara sharp, or I didn't feel okay, I didn't feel good about it. And, you know, by her doing that and asserting herself and asserting her position within her motherhood, you know, regarding how she feels about her kids and how people should be or act around her kids, absolutely respect that. Asserting her, you know, her motherliness. In her doing that, she made Happy aware in a very ladylike way of how she offended her, and so that because they're building some sort of relationship, so that Happy knows going forward, you know, what her no-go areas are regarding herself and regarding her space and regarding her children. But nonetheless, Happy goes ahead and explains how she used to have she used to be tongue-tied, and she actually went for surgery where they cut a part underneath her tongue because she couldn't even pronounce the letter R. And so when Miss Manche's son licked the cake, she thought, oh wow, this baby with a lovely tongue, he's got such a long tongue and all of that. And you know, shame, man, you can't be mad at her acknowledging, apologizing, and you know, turning the situation funny in Her Majesty, in a Her Majesty-esque kind of way. Yeah, so I found that very, very cool and very chill for 2 ladies to not catfight about the issue, to actually resolve it. And they hugged it out and they moved back to the table. Miss Mops then told everyone, I've got Chanel gift bags and we can all move into the house, because guess what? There's more. And we proceed to go inside the house. And now this left me a bit confused, but before we get to that, back to the nannies and the kids, and the nannies are like getting to know each other, and they're asking each other, so how old are you, and you know, how's your boss and all of that. And you know, they're just chatting, and I am loving the nannies are also shady with their confessionals. I am loving the fact that producers actually gave the nannies their own confessionals. It is so refreshing, it is so cute, and it is so nice to watch. Moving on, as we go into the house, then the ladies are now gathered there, and Miss Mops has got a whole spread of like Chanel perfume and all of that. That left me, I was like, okay, I know Miss Mops, I watch her YouTube channel, I'm a subscriber on her YouTube channel, so I do know that she loves perfume with all her body and her soul. But you know, it sounded, it was a bit awkward. It was a bit salesy, you know, like, oh, this perfume does this got these undertones and all of that. But in any case, the ladies didn't seem to have a problem with it, and you know, we moved. In Omushe's confessional, I found it a bit annoying of her to be like, these ladies, you know, they're too nice. It's too nice here. I wonder what's brewing underneath and all of that. The way that I don't like that type of energy. But in any case, we move. And if off we go, we are now with Her Majesty Happy and Nunurai. Her Majesty and Nunurai have arranged a lunch date, and they're both excited to spend time together, to be together. Happy arranged it because she feels like she wants to get to know Nunurai a little bit better. And the ladies are looking cute. They are at La Parada. Beautiful ambience, beautiful aesthetics, and you can see it's in the summer times. The ladies have got their face beads, they've got their hair, their shades. They are looking gorgeous. And you know, Happy once again has invited a +1 without letting Nunurai know. And in the confessional, Nunurai actually shares it. She's like, oh, okay, well, I guess this is how Happy rolls. This is her vibe. This is what we must all get used to, that if you invite Happy, there will be a +1. If you know. But in any case, Happy then tells her that she's invited Ratile, who then quickly joins them. And now as she joins the ladies, you know, they are just chilling there, and you know, as they're chatting, the conversation leads to Happy's late husband, and Nunurai then, you know, says to Happy, oh, I never asked you, you know, I never heard what exactly happened and how it happened and all of that. And you know, it's a conversation that Happy, every time she gets into it, she does get a bit emotional, which I totally get. And you know, I can only imagine. But now it takes a turn that I did not expect, you know. And you know, she goes in and she explains how she found out about her husband's passing and how he was on his way to Nelspruit, and he said he's gonna sleep over in Nelspruit, and the next morning he's trying to get a hold of him. He couldn't get a hold of him, and the next minute the brother calls her to say, have you heard from him? She hasn't heard from him, and it raises concern. And then she says to the brother, try and call the police station and find out if you can. She called the tracker, and tracker told her the last ping that they had of the car was on the N12, somewhere en route towards Nelspruit. And you know, unfortunately, the unfortunate happened. The husband was involved in a car accident. Now, this is the part where I was so shocked. I didn't see it coming. I had no clue that now, when the husband passed away, he was with a side piece. He was with his side in the car when he passed away. And, you know, geez, like, it's so hectic. I immediately felt like, girl, you must be pissed at that man. And imagine being shocked that your man passed away like that in a car accident, and finding out that there was another girl in the car with him. But that's not it. That's not even it. Happy then goes and lambasts the side piece and says, she's a dirty rag from the hood. You know, she was in my husband's car, and this and that and this. And I'm like, girl, okay, fine. I feel like it is misdirected anger, because the husband is no more. Where are you going to direct the anger? Whomst are you going to direct the anger to? And this is why I somehow, in psychology, she's displacing. I can get it. Like, she's shifting the blame instead of blaming the person that's actually the reason why we are in this place. Why we are in this place. Why do men do this to us, guys? Why do men do this to their wives? So sad, so devastating. Nunurai was in a state of shock, like, oh my gosh, should I have even asked? Should I, and she also proceeds to say, baby girl, maybe the person that you'd be upset with is this man, and some comical relief as they were talking. There's a moment where Happy said, and then I took my black card. Or before she found out that the husband passed away, she took her black card to go buy oxtail because she wanted to make sure that he has a warm meal when he comes back home. But anyways, yeah, that was so funny from Ratile. Ratile is like, black card kana kaya, black card kana kaya. I thought that was so hilarious. Sorry, I digressed, but yeah, no, the darkness of that situation and that moment. Yeah, it's so sad. Like, people are going through the most, guys. People are going through the most. And when Happy was also saying how she's just working and going and working, she's not really facing the issue. She's not really mourning. She's on work mode because she's got these 3 daughters that she needs to take care of. She's got this home that she needs to make sure that they have over their heads and all of that. And I, as a mommy, I completely get it. I completely get it. My heart is only so sad and so heartbroken for Happy. And I know with time and with counseling and with talking about it, she'll actually see that she's angry at the wrong person. Because she actually even said, why didn't she die with him in the car? Why didn't she die with him in the car? Yo, guys, your people are going through the most. But yeah, yet again, another interesting episode. Showmax and the Mummy Club producers, so far you are really giving it to us, and I really hope with more episodes that are coming up that we get better episodes, better dynamics with the ladies. And yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed the episode. And I hope you enjoy my review of the episode, and I will catch you on my next video. Please don't forget to subscribe. Bye, lovies.